Neil, thanks very much again for joining us. We had a bit of chat last time around about the likes of Harry Wilson and what have you. And look, it would be remiss of us. I'm sure you've had a lot of talk about Rhian Brewster at the moment. He's on everyone's lips, but players like him and Ben Woodburn, I wanted to pick your brain in a general sense, because I think as far as development goes, those lads they're ticking every box almost at this point. As far as your development goes through those ages, they are almost as good as you're expecting someone to be at that age if they're going to go on. How do you judge what ready looks like these days? Because I think that, and has that expectation changed because of the way football's changed maybe in the last 20 years?
Sometimes you get an exception to the rule, you know, like possibly like Stephen here, or Wayne Rooney, Michael Owen, who, you know, just explode onto the scene at 17, 18, 19. Those players are very few and far between now. But I don't think you ever know that they're ready, because you can never put them in the environment that they're going to go into until they actually get that opportunity. I think probably the best example of that over the past 12, 18 months is Marcus Rashford. Yeah. It was only a couple of months before he made his debut for United. He was playing against us in the under-18s, and we beat him 4-0.
Just thought you'd get that in there.
Thought I'd get that in again. And he had quite a quiet day on that game, you know, we won 4-0 convincingly. So if you'd have said to me after the game, I knew he was a good player and I'd seen him play, and he's, you know, I thought he's a very, very good player. But if you'd have said to me afterwards he's going to go and play Manchester United's first team a few months later and then go away with England, I'd have said I'm not sure about that. Yeah. So you never know. You never know.
Do you know? But sometimes, is there anyone you ever thought and you've gone, yeah?
I say there's always an exception, isn't there? There's always a Michael Owen. You just go, he is an absolute nailed-on cert. I think because of how hard it is now to get into the Premier League, then that certainty becomes probably slightly less. But you still, because I've been around youth development and seen players for many, many years, I think I know the ones that I think have got the best opportunity. It's whether they get that opportunity, and that's probably, you know, that's a problem we've got in the country.
Does the Michael Owen thing skew things a little bit, because, you know, he's 16 when he burst onto the scene almost? Then you talk, look at Arsenal, Cesc Fabregas is the same. Messi's a little older when he gets into the Barcelona team, but, you know, these are once in a generation kind of players, but they're the ones that stick in people's minds when they think about these players coming through. How do you manage that? Because for every Michael Owen there's a Jamie Carragher, there's an Ian Wright who doesn't come into the game until his mid to late 20s, that kind of thing. Yeah,
I think the ones you're talking about they're 15, 20 years ago when that happened, and I think the landscape has changed now. I think if you look at England's national team, their first team, you've only got to look at the likes of Harry Kane, who must have had 55 loans or something, and some of them didn't go well for him. And now he's talked about as being a £200 million striker now, and Dele Alli played 70, 80 games, I think, for MK Dons in League One. So you could go right through the team, I think, for England, pretty much. Not many of them players burst on the scene at 17, 18 in the Premier League. They had numerous games in League One, Championship, different loans to get where they are now. So our boys have to be open-minded enough to know that their pathway might not be straight into Liverpool's first team. It might be elsewhere before that happens. But it doesn't mean you're not going to get to Liverpool's first team. It doesn't mean you can't play for England, because the evidence is there to suggest otherwise.
Do you think that's the positive shift that's maybe happened in the last few seasons as well? Is that, I think it might have been something we mentioned last time, that once upon a time, and I say once, it wasn't even too long ago, if you went on loan, it was like, oh, the latch on your way out. Rather than now looks like there is more of an opportunity definitely to come back.
I think if you knew that, the manager wants you to go out on loan, and that was signing your death warrant, so to speak, that was it. Young players don't look at that now, because they see the likes of the Harry Kanes, etc., playing for England and their first team at Tottenham. So they see that as part of their pathway to get where they need to go. And I think the managers and everyone in this country looks at it as being something that could be successful for them in the future.
Yeah. So just on Ben and Rhian, then, you know, kind of next steps for them, you know, obviously doing well on the international stage now at different levels because of how successful Ben's been. I mean, as far as this season goes, the expectation from Liverpool fans is always going to be that thing. We're watching them, we're seeing them through the academies, seeing them on our CTV and thinking, wow, what a player. When you saw the progression, Sterling was a very rapid progression into the first team. Is it within the the scope of reality that these guys can go in and have an impact in the first team? You know, does it might take a couple of injuries or whatever, maybe at this stage, but you know, if you had to drop these lads into a run of games in the Premier League, how do you feel they'd handle it at this stage?
Again, you don't know until it happens. I'd like to think that you know, or we knew. So, you know, like last season when Trent's making his debut, or Ben, you think, no, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because you've seen it. They've got a good temperament. You've seen them go through a little bit of adversity when they're growing up, and you think, no, if they have a setback on the pitch tonight, they'll come through that. They've got the ability. It's now whether they can just handle the big games, or the tough moments on the pitch. And you think, no, I think he'll be okay. But you can't. It's like you know your revision ready for your big exam. You don't know until you take your exam how you're going to do. So we like to think that we know, and our experiences tell us hopefully we get more right than we get wrong. But until you cross that white line and you play at Anfield in front of 50,000 expectant fans, and we can't replicate that for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, I suppose Trent's a perfect example of that. You mentioned it earlier on. Gets the game at Old Trafford. I don't think anyone was watching that. Everyone thought he put in a great shift, a really solid performance, but no one would have thought he's then scoring a free kick in Hoffenheim 6 months later. So sometimes just getting that experience is what it takes to kick them on as well.
Yeah, definitely. Until they get that opportunity, I think then everyone then takes note of that. They see that and go, ooh, had a good game like that, and that's what they have to do. They have to take that opportunity. They have to make people stand up, take notice of them. You know, the manager has to be able to trust them, and when they get that opportunity, they might not get many, so they've got to be ready, and they've got to be ready to take it.
Amazing. Just lastly, moving away from the youth, a guy who come in with young but a lot of promise, loads of injuries, Danny Ings.
Yeah.
How far away is he at this point? Obviously, we know he's had so many setbacks. The time frame was a little shifted from his last injury, wasn't it? So he kind of started last season ready. How far is he first team fit now, or is he still a spell time? Or does he need to go and get a run of those type of games to find that level?
He's looking better all the time for us. The more games he plays, the more 90 minutes he gets under his belt. I thought his performance against Manchester United was the best game he's had for us so far. How he didn't score in that game, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think he knows either. His all-round contribution was tops for us, but he's a bit down because he expects to score goals.
Yeah.
With his movement and his finishing ability, which you see in training, there's no reason why he shouldn't score goals. So. He's getting better, fitter all the time. I think when he starts hitting the back of the net on a regular basis, which won't be too far away, then he'll be ready to go, I think, yeah.
Gutted.
Sorry?
Gutted that you won't have someone at that level available to you every week.
No, not at all, no.
Of course.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We're delighted to have Danny, but if we can help Danny to get where he wants to go, then, you know, and we play a small part in that, then we'll be made up for Danny, because, you know, it's not just me. Everyone thinks so highly of him as a professional and as a person. So he's had a nightmare for 2 years, and nothing would give us greater pleasure than seeing Danny playing at Anfield and scoring some goals. So hopefully that happens in the future.
Amazing. Well, listen, Leicester come up with the weekend. All the best on the title challenge as well.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.